moving from that, you went into now the 40-hour work year, right? And so give us some examples of what you did and how that worked.
So I just wanted to show everybody this real quick. People say, okay, 40 hours a year, what does that look like? Is that just a catchy name? No, not really. I mean, what happened was, again, this was through many talks I would do with people, and they go, you only work 2 or 3 days a year at your office? You only go back to your office 2 or 3 days a year? And like, well, what do you do? I said, well, I actually do an hour-and-a-half phone call every month, which is about 18 hours of my 40 hours. And at the end of that month, at the end of each month, we just reviewed the key metrics and the financials for the companies. Now remember, my company was made up of 23 individual companies across 40 states. So this was a large undertaking. This wasn't like looking at one company's P&L. But we had it down to a system, once again, trust the process, trust the system, where we could review 23 companies in an hour-and-a-half the last Tuesday of every month. 16 hours every year, I'd go back and do a 2-day strategic retreat. If you're not doing any kind of strategic planning in your company, I will tell you right now, again, go ahead and hang up. Don't even bother reading the book. You will not move to anywhere close to the 40-hour work year. Strategy is the key. You've got to change that mindset from thinking tactical to strategic. We had a strategic retreat, 2-day strategic retreat every year of all 10 years we had the company. And then lastly, my last 6 hours was basically a mid-year pulse. I'd go back and take a look at how did we do since the last 6 months we met as a company, and are we moving in the right direction? So it was driving and focusing the vision at the 16 hours, taking the pulse at the 6 hours, and then one of my favorite things, inspecting what I expect every month for an hour-and-a-half. And letting my team use the systems, use the processes we put in place.
So when you talk about creating these systems, I mean, one of the questions that's come up here is that, how do you know what systems to create? I mean, when you've got a business, what are the systems? I mean, just in general. I mean, if I'm a novice business owner, I have no idea what a system is. How do they create that? What do they do?
Right. So in our business model, we basically had a finance department, an HR, what we call HR, payroll services department, a sales department, and then we had a benefits insurance department. That's what was in our company. So we looked at each one of those departments independently, and we had our employees keep logbooks for a month of everything they did by the hour. Gathered all that information. I go into great detail in the book on this. Gathered all that information, pulled the best practices out of that, refined it, did it again for another month, and then from that pulled the best practices, turned them into SOPs within the company for each and every job position and department in the company.
SOP being? Standard
operating procedure. Yep. And again, I talk about in the book, it's an onerous, boring, most difficult thing I ever did during this whole process. But once it's done, it's done. And when you've got a systems-dependent business, the best system is the one you never know you have. We had a lot of great systems, but nobody could actually talk about them because they'd become part of our culture. Nobody could describe them. It was just the way we did things because the SOPs, standard operating procedures, were so ingrained in our company.
So how does somebody move from where they are to doing something like that? I mean, they've got to change in some way, right?
Correct. And I would say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So start at your current position where you're at and say, if I did these 2 or 3 things or streamline these 2 or 3 things today, I could reduce 2 hours a week of my time. It's wasted time, whatever. It may be something as simple, Dave, as there may be people right now who take stacks of documents, I've seen this before, that need to be shredded, and they literally, at the end of the day, go spend a half an hour shredding documents back in their room, or mailing documents, or filling out documents, or whatever. That can all be outsourced. That can all be systematized for a lot less money than you think. We used to bring in temps from colleges and high schools and come in and stuff envelopes for us after school, all right? And they were happy to do it. They were working in the business, starting to build their credibility, buy them a pizza or something like that, and they come in and do that menial task. If your hourly work rate or your wage is worth, let's say you're worth $150 an hour, and you're stuffing envelopes for 2 hours a day, wow. In fact, you can give me a call after this because I got some people I can send out to work for you. I mean, that's a great wage to be making for stuffing envelopes.
So it really does come down to change, right?
You have to change. There's only one constant, right? Change. So you must change, right? The only constant is change. Something that I heard a long time ago and I stuck with, and if you think about this in all facets of your life, that until the pain of not changing is greater than the pain of changing, you will not change. I don't care if it's that tooth that's been bothering you for 4 weeks, and it finally turns into you can't sleep at night or it falls out, you finally go do something about it. I don't care if it's personal things in your life, maybe it's dieting, maybe it's exercise.
Weight is probably the most common one for people. That people get to a point where all of a sudden they're so uncomfortable that they're like, I got to do something, right? Or the doctor says, look, it's a relative of mine recently. I mean, you're going to die in 2 years if you don't change.
Right. Until the pain of not
all of a
changing.
sudden they're changing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then lastly, for things to change, you must change. Otherwise, nothing much will change, which is kind of a fun little thing if you think about it from a saying standpoint.
Yep.
So as you go through the rest of this, just remember this. In my mindset philosophy and the way I looked at my business, I was constantly changing. The only constant is change. Not only from a standpoint of the business environment, the economy, your competition, your employees, the way you're collecting and billing for your services, but your mindset. You as a person have to change and grow and learn, or you're not going to get there.
The question up there is, are you ready to change?
Right.
And obviously, that's a question we always have to ask ourselves is, are we ready to move forward and do something different? Because obviously, if you're continuing to do what you do, you're always going to get what you get, right?
Yep.
So if you want to do something different and have maybe a 20-hour work week or a 30-hour work week, or for me, man, if I could have worked 40 hours a week when I was starting my business, boy, that would have been great.
I was the same as you did. I was working 90 to 120 hours a week.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, I was burning it, going crazy. I mean, it was a nightmare, and that's when I realized I needed to change. You opened up with the whole concept of earning more, working less.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not earning more and working less today, then the change would be to earn more and work less. I mean, it's that simple. Whatever that means to you, even if it means $1,000 more a month and 5 hours less a week or 5 hours less a month, that's a great advance from where you are today.
Yep.